All right, so today we are talking about the Kundalini energy. There are a lot of misconceptions about Kundalini out there, so we are going to talk about it. I will also tell you my own experience of my Kundalini when it rose. It was very interesting. And we will take questions at the end. Do me a favor, please write your question down so you don't forget it. And then when you do put your question in the chat, once I'm done talking, just tag my mods so that they will make sure I see it, okay? They do a fantastic job. I have 3 mods in here, Mika, Nana, and Meta, Be Mine, and they will keep track of everything for me. They're amazing. The only thing I ask of anyone in this room, please, is to just tap the screen while you're in here and share this out with anyone who you think may benefit from hearing about this, all right? Pardon. Excuse me. Okay, so today we are talking about the Kundalini. I'm so excited. Here we go. Kundalini energy is a powerful and enigmatic concept in spiritual context, both traditional and modern. It represents a profound force that is believed to reside at the base of the spine. I write all this, by the way. I write all this, I'm just saying, but I can't remember it, so I have to read it. Kundalini is often depicted as a coiled serpent in ancient Hindu and yogic traditions, symbolizing dormant potential energy. This is like a spring. If you picture a spring, it is down and pushed down, ready to spring up. This is a potential energy. In simple terms, a Kundalini awakening is a form of energetic awakening that causes transformation on the mental, emotional, and spiritual levels. Thank you for that. The word Kundalini itself means she who is coiled in Sanskrit. It refers to primordial life force energy contained at the base of the spine that is often depicted as a snake. In a lot of pictures and paintings, you will see it depicted as a coiled snake. Thank you for that. As divine feminine energy, Kundalini usually lies dormant in the root chakra at the base of the spine. However, there are a number of different situations where Kundalini can suddenly awaken, spanning from trauma all the way to drug use and all the way through years of spiritual expansion and growth. Okay, so let me just clear up what I was saying because I know I was tripping over my words a little bit. You can have a spontaneous Kundalini awakening. There have been instances, I've heard stories myself of people who aren't even really awakened at all, experiencing a Kundalini awakening, and that catapults them into their spiritual awakening. That is not common. I want to stress that is not common, but it does happen. And the people that I know that it's happened to, it was a result of a traumatic experience. So it was like something traumatic happened and bam, it was like, okay, you need to wake up, sister, let's go. And you get this big Kundalini awakening, and then that catapults you into your spiritual awakening. For me, it happened, you know how time is. I don't even know what today is, so bear with me. I'm gonna say it was probably 2 years ago, about a year after my awakening happened, and I had been regularly meditating, regularly working on my energy. And I mean, when I say regular, I mean every single day, okay? Like I was not skipping a moment. Meditation, I was getting energy work, I was learning energy work, I was reading a ton about spiritual stuff. I was really saturated in my awakening. About a year after my awakening, my Kundalini rose. Actually, I was in bed getting ready to go to sleep, and I was listening to frequency healing. Thank you for that. I was listening to frequency healing, and it started to rise, and it was a pretty crazy experience. So there are multiple ways that this can happen for you. But again, I want to stress, this is not something that happens to every single person. It's just not. As to why, that I don't know. I don't understand myself why some people experience it and some people don't, why some people have really traumatic experiences with it and some people don't. I don't know the little pieces of it, but you know, we'll figure it out. We'll talk about it. All right. Although there are meditative practices and yogic exercises to stimulate the Kundalini to awaken and rise, Most people experience Kundalini awakenings spontaneously without using any specific spiritual practices. Not to mean spontaneously out of nowhere, but spontaneously meaning you aren't actively sitting in a specific Kundalini yogic pose, doing Kundalini breathing, listening to Kundalini music. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't open necessarily when you're doing those things, but outside of when you're doing those things. Once awoken, this serpentine energy travels up the various energy centers or chakras of the body and into the crown chakra, triggering higher consciousness. The result of this higher awareness is a greater understanding of one's soul or true nature, your life purpose, and the nature of reality itself. Traditional teachings on Kundalini often emphasize the need for a qualified guru or teacher to guide one, I wrote this word twice, to guide one through the awakening process, the Kundalini awakening process. This guidance is critical due to the potentially intense and destabilizing experiences that can occur as the Kundalini energy rises through the chakras. Prominent figures like Swami Mukundanda and Gopi Krishna have written extensively on their personal Kundalini awakenings and the wisdom they gained from the process. It is very important to note Kundalini energy isn't innately dangerous or bad on its own. It is not bad. It is not dangerous. The energy itself is not bad, okay? It is our energy blockages that limit the flow of Kundalini that make it a painful, scary, and sometimes dangerous experience. The awakening Kundalini aims to harness this latent power that's stored coiled at the base of the spine and channel it upward through the chakras to help attain spiritual enlightenment. So Kundalini experience, I will say, some people have told me that it was physically painful for them. Some people have told me it was emotionally painful for them. Some people told me that it's never happened. Again, your experience is going to be huge based on you, your energy, and what you have going on. I will say the main reason I would never encourage someone to actively work on awakening your Kundalini is because you probably have some blockages in the way. You have to remember your energy is a circulation system, right? And if you're trying to push a significant amount of energy up this way and you have a blockage here, there's literally nowhere for it to go. Wow, thank you, Mika. There's literally nowhere for it to go. And if there's nowhere for it to continue to rise, it has to go outward. And that can be painful physically. It can bring up a lot of physical trauma, all kinds of stuff. So it is my understanding and deep understanding that you should not actively try to awaken your Kundalini. You should actively work on yourself spiritually overall and allow it to awaken naturally on its own. Okay? So keep that in mind. For me, before I go forward, I'll just tell you my story. So this particular evening, I had done my meditation, I had done my journaling, I was in my bed, I was all comfy, and I have a sleep mask that has headphones in it because my husband snores, just saying. And so put that on, and I turned on some frequency healing music. It was not Kundalini music. I think it was just, I don't know, overall music, frequency, I don't know. So I'm laying there and I start to go into a meditative state, which I still do every single night. And as I felt myself start to drop down, I felt this very hot, I don't know how to explain it. It was like a white hot, like it feels cold and hot at the same time. I know it sounds weird. Right at the base of my spine. And it started as like a little spot and it got bigger, bigger, bigger. And look at that. And as it got larger, I started to feel this band of tightening going around my body like this, right? Like if I was the body here in the middle, it comes around like this. And it wrapped around as if connecting the back of the chakra and the front of the chakra, and it squeezed really tight. And then it let go, and then I felt the heat come up my spine. It hit the next chakra. I felt it come around, connect in the front, and squeeze super tight, and it did that all the way up. I felt it in my heart chakra. I felt the heat rise into my throat chakra, but there was no squeezing there. and then I felt the heat here, but no squeezing, and then it was like the top of my head was tingly, and then it was gone. The whole thing probably lasted, realistically, max 5 minutes. I mean, it was not like a super quick process, but it wasn't like a super slow process. And I didn't know what it was when it first started, so it took me back a little bit. Once it was out, I kind of had this overall body relaxation and sort of sank back down, and it came to me like it dropped in on me. Your Kundalini has awoken. You know, your spiritual life is going to expand, you know, be prepared, blah, blah, blah. And that's when I started having visions and started hearing tones and stuff, was after that happened. Up until then, I would get little hints of stuff in meditation and stuff like that, but not like I do now. Not like if you have a session with me, I will see some super clear stuff, I'm telling you. That was not happening until then. I think part of it was my own disbelief in myself, and I had been actively working on that right prior to my awakening. So that was my experience. I have been told, and I don't know if this is true or not because it's not been my experience, but I have been told that some people can have an incomplete awakening where it rises to a point and then it will stop because you have blockages. And I've heard of people having a second rising, but again, I don't 100% know if that's true. That's just what some other people have told me, so take that with a grain of salt. All right, so that was my experience with Kundalini. So far we have just talked about what the word itself means, what the purpose of the energy is, where it is stored, and how you kind of access that sort of stuff. All right, I have a quote for you. So in George, I'm going to say his name wrong because you know I can't say any name right. George Feuerstein's book, Tantra, Path of Ecstasy is the name of the book. He explores why Kundalini can go haywire. Quote, without prior cleansing of the nadi system, the energy system, raising the serpent power of Kundalini along the axial pathway is not only impossible, but also very dangerous to attempt. For instead of entering the center channel, it is likely to force itself into the Ida, or the Pingala Nada, which is like side, it's like a picture of tree branches, it's like on that side, on either side of the central channel, causing immense havoc in the body and mind. And that's what we're talking about. Look at, I looked up and 111, I love those angel numbers. Look at, and it's on my sleeve too. Gosh, I keep getting distracted. I'm so sorry. But that's kind of what I'm talking about. And he's a very practiced teacher and has many, 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 many years of experience. And if he's saying it, I'm going to go with what he says, okay? So in other words, when Kundalini is prematurely stimulated or aroused in an incorrect way, aka through inadequate preparation and clearing of our energetic body, the results can be disastrous. So moral of the story, don't force it. Don't force it. Just don't force it. To further illustrate this idea, Feuerstein goes on to quote the experience of yogi and mystic Gopi Krishna during his spontaneous Kundalini awakening. He wrote, quote, there were dreadful disturbances in all the organs, each so alarming and painful that I wonder how I managed to retain my self-position under the onslaught. The whole delicate organism was burning, withering away completely under the fiery blast racing through its interior. I knew I was dying and that my heart could not stand the tremendous strain for long. My throat was scorched and every part of my body flaming and burning, but I could do nothing to alleviate the dreadful suffering. If a well or river had been near, I would have jumped into its cold depths, preferring death to what I was undergoing. I racked my distressed brain for a way of escape, only to meet blank despair on every side. The effort exhausted me, and I felt myself sinking, dully conscious of the scalding sea of pain in which I was drowning. So, like I said, let's not force it. I want to really reiterate, though, as painful as that sounds, that was his personal experience. My Kundalini experience was not painful, and many people's experience is not painful. Please do not be scared of it. As long as you're not forcing it, listen, as long as you're not, come here. As long as you're not forcing it to happen, it will only happen in the way you can handle. Keep that in mind. Unless you need to, for some reason, experience a really hard awakening, typically, if you're allowing it to unfold on its own, it will only happen the way you need it to happen for you. So don't be scared. I just wanted to give you an example of an extreme version of this. Okay? All right, so one very common question and misconception is spiritual awakening versus a Kundalini awakening. What's the difference? Is there a difference? Look, every time I look up, it's 111. You guys, that is such a love it, right? What's the difference? Spiritual awakening, Kundalini awakening, are they the same thing? No, not the same thing, okay? While the two sound the same, they are slightly different in nature. The spiritual awakening process, or spiritual ascension, or an awakening as we call it, tends to be emotional and psychological. Kundalini awakening, on the other hand, is energetic. It is a surge of energy that may be either gentle and gradual or sudden and intense, okay? So, spiritual awakening is about awakening to the idea that you are so much more than you thought yourself to be for so long. It's awakening to the idea that some of the teachings you have, I don't want to say they're wrong because I'm very hesitant to say that. They're not wrong. They're incomplete. There's more. There's so much more. And a spiritual awakening is the realization that that's where you are, that there's something more out there, that you are capable of so much more, that you create your own reality, that what you know about the world around you may not be all there is. That's spiritual awakening. Kundalini is an energetic surge. It's physical in that you feel it happening in your body as a hot, usually hot feeling rising through your spine. It is a physical movement of energy in the body. Big difference, okay? While Kundalini awakening usually comes further down the road after someone has experienced a spiritual awakening, it does not always. As I have mentioned previously, Kundalini can arise suddenly in response to psychedelic drug experiences, sexual encounters, or even traumatic situations, okay? Another distinguishing factor is that Kundalini energy is felt very physically, whereas the physical awakening is usually more mind and heart oriented, like we were just talking about. So while intense vibrations and heat may be felt in the body during Kundalini awakening, during spiritual awakening, there is more of a soulful quality of deep questioning, insight, and transfiguration. Some actually refer to this as spiritual alchemy. Hello. Hi, I'm Erin, your friendly neighborhood spiritual alchemist. That's me. Another question I get a lot is, can someone experience both a spiritual awakening and a Kundalini awakening at the same time? Yes, absolutely. And it's for this reason that both tend to lead to experiences of the dark night of the soul, or the inevitable after effect of having felt like one has lost touch with the divine. Ultimately, they are two sides of the same coin, right? So spiritual awakening by itself, I can't think of a single person that hasn't done this too, will lead to a dark night of the soul for the purpose of dismantling some of the beliefs that you've been carrying around for a long time. Kundalini awakening, same idea. If you have a Kundalini awakening spontaneously, it will often lead to a dark night of the soul because it calls into question a lot of what you believe about the world around you, because you've literally just experienced something that other people are trying to tell you is not real. Just saying, okay? Common misconceptions about Kundalini revolve around the idea that it is a quick path to supernatural abilities, or that it guarantees instant spiritual enlightenment. In reality, awakening Kundalini is a gradual and often challenging process that can involve physical and emotional discomfort. Moreover, it does not guarantee special powers. I hate using that word because it's not really powerful. It's just a sense. It's just a sense, like hearing, singing. It's just, my sense is bigger. It's like I can taste more of a rainbow. You know what I'm saying? Like I can taste more of the sour Skittles than other people, kind of thing. Okay. Clearing up these misconceptions is vital to approaching Kundalini practice with a realistic and grounded mindset, right? We don't want to spread misconception about anything, misinformation. Kundalini awakening is a life-changing mystical experience that can feel magical, ecstatic, and profound. And it is, but there are also many hidden traps we can fall into after we've emerged out on the other end. So I've written down 5 spiritual traps that we can fall into after experiencing a Kundalini awakening. These are pretty common. They're not in any specific order. And I want to thank lonerwolf.com because I did reference them for this list. Okay. Excuse me. Excuse me. So sorry. Okay. Number 1, spiritual superiority. Seeing yourself as more awake than others and looking down on those who are not as advanced or still asleep, which is also known as spiritual narcissism. Just saying, just because you had a Kundalini experience doesn't make you any more advanced spiritually than any single other person ever. It just doesn't. That's just your experience and where you are in your lifetime. It does make you more advanced than you were before, but it doesn't make you any more advanced than anyone else on their journey because you have no idea. Look at, see, every single time, you guys. High five, boom. Okay. All right. Number 2, savior complex. Adopting a disproportionate sense of self-grandiosity and specialness, believing that you're sent to save the world. For example, for those who have undergone Kundalini psychosis, this can even mean believing they're Jesus or the next Buddha. That goes along with spiritual psychosis, the same idea. If you have not cleared out your system, it has to go somewhere. And sometimes it can cause you to lose touch with the reality you live in. It can cause you to have hallucinations that help you, that make it so you can't distinguish. Hey girl, hey. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be very careful and mindful with that. Number 3, grasping and attachment. Desperately trying to hold on to the blissful experiences of the Kundalini awakening and being miserable, even entering crisis mode when it's inevitably lost. This can result in spiritual materialism, which I'll do a show on that sometime. But sometimes when you experience something so profound like that, it can be hard to let go of the experience, right? We want to stay in that experience. We want to continue to feel that experience. I saw it again. But that's just not how it is. It's an experience. That's why you have it. It's temporary. You experience it in the now and then you let it go and it leads to greater things. But sometimes people get trapped and they start doing different things to try to force it to happen again. And that again is another issue that you end up with. Spiritual nihilism, that's another one. Taking universal truths and misapplying them to a human level. For example, all is an illusion and nothing ultimately matters, which breeds a sense of disassociation, emptiness, and cynicism. You are here to experience this life. It is important what happens here. Ultimately, does it matter how much money you have in this life? No, but it matters right now, so don't disqualify your experience here by saying things like that. Your experience on this planet right here, right now is absolutely imperative and it matters and it's why you're here. Don't discount it, okay? Just because there's more beyond this doesn't mean this doesn't matter. This does matter. You want to feel good, don't you? You want to experience joy and love and expansion and growth. That's why it matters, okay? Number 5 and last for this list, avoidance. Avoiding or spiritually bypassing everyday responsibilities and focusing only on higher spiritual matters. This is essentially a way for the ego to avoid growing up and integrating the experience at a human level, right? I know a lot of people who do that. I do. I know a lot of people who I don't want to say a lot. I'm going to say a significant amount of people because of the circles I travel in who want to only focus on the spiritual side of their growth and they neglect the human side of their growth. And again, like I was just saying, you are here to have a human experience resulting in knowledge and growth. So you cannot ignore this. You're just going to have to do it again. You don't want to do that, do you? Geez, you wouldn't take the same math test over and over? Good Lord, no. All right, so 3:33 on the clock. Ding, we are hitting these angel numbers today, you guys. Man, I'm excited. I am so excited. Okay. Sidebar real quick. Sorry. I'm just going to say this so I don't forget it. If you guys don't follow JK Ultra is someone here on TikTok. She does some amazing videos breaking down a bunch of connections between a bunch of different authors and prophecies and all this stuff. Anyway, she said something today in one of her videos that really stuck with me. This was not my original thought, but when she said it, I was like, holy crap, she's right. She said synchronicity is not just about the angel numbers and the feathers and all that stuff. Synchronicity is also about that little salty feeling you get when you see something that somebody has that you might want. So for example, she said she was watching somebody giving a talk somewhere, and she was working the concession stand, and she was watching them, and she was thinking to herself, and she was a little salty about it, I could be up there. I could be doing that talk. I could be doing it. But the trick is, that's your guide going, hey, you could be doing that. Hey, you could be doing that. Let me poke your ego just a little bit, just a little bit. The trick is what you decide to do with that feeling. Do you go, I could be doing that, so I'm going to take inspired action to find a way to do that? Or do you get bitter and go, I could be doing that? That's where we have the choice. That's where you have the choice. You can make the choice to take the inspired action and follow that little nudge, or you can make the choice to not follow that inspired action. But you don't get to blame anybody else if you make the choice not to follow that. Look at that, 111. Oh my gosh, high five. All right, so now getting back to Kundalini Awakening. Sorry, sidebar. I'm trying not to be squirrely, but I can't help it. And oh my gosh, so cute. Okay. So I have a list here of 19 Kundalini awakening symptoms. They range pretty wide, and please keep in mind that, again, your experience is unique to you. Just because it's not on this list doesn't mean it doesn't belong on the list, and just because it's on this list doesn't mean you will experience it, okay? Again, I want to thank lonerwolf.com because I compiled this list using their suggestions. Kundalini awakening symptoms. Ready? Number 1, you feel a spiritual connection with the divine that transcends the ego. That's a big one, and a lot of people go, what does that mean? So I'm not going to really get into it because that's a whole nother video, but number 1. Okay. Number 2, you are bathed in bliss and boundless love. This is a temporary thing. This is like a sudden, I feel like I'm floating on a cloud and surrounded by angels, and just sudden. Right? Sudden and short. This is not a prolonged, I'm on mushrooms feeling, okay? Number 3, you experience periods of oneness where your compassion for humanity increases. You tap into extrasensory abilities and or develop extrasensory gifts. Number 5, pleasurable sensations pulsate throughout your body. For me, my whole body was vibrating during this time, and it was not uncomfortable, but it was weird. It's like, why? I felt like, it feels like when, your phone is laying on your bed and your phone vibrates and the whole bed shakes. It kind of felt like that. Number 6, you're inspired to make big, life-altering decisions and authentic changes in your life. Number 7, synchronicity, meaning meaningful or miraculous coincidences, have increased tremendously, like today, right? Number 8, you have profound insights into your behavior and past experiences. Number 9, your empathic abilities strengthen and you can feel everything at a profound level. Number 10, you begin to understand the nature of the mind and how it influences reality. That is trippy. Number 11, you keep receiving big cosmic downloads of information. Like you feel like you keep receiving one on top of the other, on top of the other, on top of the other. That could definitely be part of it. Number 12, you experience intense involuntary shaking of the body. Number 13, your nervous system becomes hypersensitive to external sensors like bright lights, TVs, loud noises, that sort of thing, and shuts down, and you crave total solitude. Number 14, you struggle to sleep properly, like every day. Number 15, you experience sudden and shocking moments of ego death, which can be very disturbing. Number 16, you have visual disturbances that can feel alarming. For example, objects seeming to vibrate as you watch them. Number 17, you experience intense heat, vibrations, or electricity surge through your body. Number 18, it feels like you're having a bad drug trip while you're sober. Yes. Number 19, you struggle to distinguish what is real from imagined and feel like you're going crazy. Some of these, I will say, are normal for someone also going through a regular spiritual awakening. Like I said, Kundalini is a different thing, and this is just a list that lonerwolf.com suggested because I couldn't really, it's hard to come up with a list for something that you've only experienced once in less than 5 minutes. And everybody's experience is so different. The main thing about a Kundalini awakening, the most commonly reported thing to me is the heat and the squeezy and the feeling of the heat rising, right? So those are the three main things that people tell me. Again, doesn't mean everybody tells me that, but the main things people tell me when they talk about their Kundalini rising. All right. So let's see. Some other and perhaps less common Kundalini awakening symptoms are feeling shattered or like you have no center, dreaming of snakes or seeing snakes everywhere. This could be an alert from your subconscious mind that the Kundalini awakening is coming. Feeling raw and extremely vulnerable, like feeling like a newborn child. Manic and exuberant energy, or the opposite, like chronic fatigue. Frequent lucid dreams or vivid dreams. Seeing lights or hearing music that isn't there. Again, keep in mind a lot of these are also things that people going through an awakening experience anyway, okay? Panic attacks, strange food cravings or aversions, all kinds of stuff. So just keep all this in mind, right? Just lightly keep this in mind. If your Kundalini has awoken and you're feeling overwhelmed, here's a list of a couple things that you can do, right? So likely your nervous system is going into overdrive if you're having a painful Kundalini experience. In the moment, some ways to calm your nerves can be, for example, take a warm bath with essential oils like lavender. You can also try magnesium salts. If a warm bath doesn't sound like your cup of tea, try a cold shower. Be mindful and notice how your body and mind respond to the temperature of the water. This goes along with nervous system reset. You can try that, okay? At the end of this list, I'm going to show you guys how to reset your vagus nerve, which is also very helpful in stressful situations, all right? Find something or someone that brings you a feeling of safety, okay? This might be cuddling your dog or cat, asking your partner or friend to hold you, finding a cozy nook in nature, or relaxing in a corner of your house that brings you comfort. That will help to calm things down. Put on and listen to calming music like I have playing right now, just something calm, something peaceful, stuff like this, all right? Try slow guided breathing using an app like Calm or Insight Timer. Be mindful of how your body responds. At the first sign of discomfort, stop immediately, okay? Ground yourself outdoors in nature. For me, when my energy builds up, like Heather can tell you, when I first started working with my energy and working with her, there would be days where my energy would be so built up in my body, I would just go up to her and be like, can I give you a session? I have got to discharge this energy. Not knowing what grounding was, I would do a session on her just to get the energy out of me, because it would like, oh my gosh, it was overwhelming. I can't even explain it to you. Now that I know about grounding, when I get that, because I still do, even as much as I run my energy, when I start to get that feeling, I go outside, I put my feet in the grass or hug a tree or something, and it will help to pull that energy out. So that is also something you can do. Eating grounding foods like potatoes, root vegetables, and organic meat is also something you can do. You also should probably stop all your spiritual practices temporarily. Yes, your spiritual practice might be amplifying the effects of your Kundalini awakening, so stop. Let yourself rest. If you crave a replacement practice, try mindfulness, as it helps to ground you in the present moment, okay? And seek out compassionate help, right? If you still struggle with the Kundalini energy being too intense, I strongly recommend seeking out the guidance of a transpersonal or depth psychotherapist, an intuitive counselor, a Reiki master, anyone who does energy work, someone who has experience with working with energy. Seek them out. The best guides are those who understand the importance of integrating the mind and the spirit. There are also people who specialize in Kundalini awakening that can help you when you find them online, okay? But tread very carefully, okay? Be mindful of who you give access to your energy. Always trust your instincts. If you feel worse or if you get weird vibes around someone, you do not owe them any explanation, okay? Leave. Find someone else. You have to have the right guide to help you through this. Please always listen to your intuition with that. Listen to that little pit in the middle of your stomach, okay? Just in conclusion, Kundalini represents a powerful spiritual concept that bridges traditional and modern spiritual traditions. Excuse me. The wisdom of teachers like Swami Makan. You guys know that I'm really struggling with this name, right? I'm going to spell it for you. Swami Muktananda, Muktananda, and Gopi Krishna offer invaluable insights into this profound journey. By dispelling misconceptions and approaching Kundalini awakening with respect for its transformative potential, individuals can embark on a path of self-discovery and spiritual growth, fostering a deep connection to their inner selves and the universe. Okay. Also, my personal favorite teacher, Ram Dass, he also talks about Kundalini awakening. You can literally find any spiritual teacher will talk about it. Christina Lopes, she has a YouTube channel. She talks about it. Find someone who knows what they're talking about and ask them. Don't just ask some weird rando that says, oh, I know what I'm talking about. Really lean into it and really listen to your instincts. Thank you for the flower. Okay. So before I forget, I want to tell you guys how to reset your vagus nerve. This is very helpful for anxiety. This is something that I actually learned from the nurse anesthesia students that I teach, that I work with at the university. And this is a trick that they use, right? So your vagus nerve is a huge nerve and it regulates a lot of stuff, including like your diaphragm and all kinds of stuff. When you are anxious, it gets in a state of agitation, and the way you reset it, okay? The first thing is you want to sit straight like this. You want to turn your head all the way to the right like this, and you want to hold it for at least a count of 30, but as long as 3 minutes, as long as you can. And recognize how far your chin turns when you do this, okay? Then you come back to center and turn the other way, and you hold it this way for at least a count of 30, but up to 3 minutes, okay? Then you turn your head back straight, and then with your eyes only, you want to look all the way to the right for at least a count of 30 or until you yawn. At least a count of 30 or until you yawn. And then you do the same thing over here. Count of 30 or until you yawn, which is better. And then you come back here, and when you turn your head again, it will not only move better, your neck will be less stiff, and your anxiety will have calmed down. So that is a super helpful thing, just so you guys know. All right, so that is the end of my Kundalini lesson.